Welcome to everyone. Thank you to be present in here. My name is Fabio Magrassi. I'm a project manager at STAM. I'm going to chair the first section of the Loop cluster. That is, let's say, a cluster of 4 different projects awarded under the Green Deal 3.2 call. I'm just going to give you a really brief introduction, and then I'm going to present the speakers that are the coordinator of the 4 different projects awarded under this call. So let's say that I want to start the speech from this place, so the place that we are in at the moment. It was the stock market of Genoa, so a place where the economy have, let's say, been really present in the past, and let's say it was a linear economy. So it's quite interesting to be here and speaking about circular economy, because we are in an ancient building, of course, where a lot of trade, let's say, took place in the past, in a way. And now we are here and we are trying to change the way of doing economy, but also, let's say, taking into account the sociality and the environmental part of that. Of course, also the building is a sort of circular economic event, because at the end of its life in 2004, it has been, let's say, recycled as an event venue. So let's say that the building is still going on and is some sort of example of circular economy in that way. So what does it mean, sustainability and circular economy? Sometimes we have, let's say, a bad way on putting that in word. For example, in Italian, sustainability is translated like sostenibilità, so something that needs to sustain something else. If you see the word from the English perspective, it means durability, so something that needs to be present for a long time. So again, talking back to the place where we are, this place has been built almost 200 years ago, is still standing, is beautiful, and we should use this kind of building and experience as an example for the future. So something that it's still present and can, let's say, be transmitted to the other generation. So when building circular economy, we must keep that in mind for sure. So I wish you, let's say, a really good workshop, and let's say this is Genoa from one of these best perspectives between sea and the mountain, and let's say that have been a city of trader, a market from, let's say, since the start of its history, and we hope that can generate for the future a new way of doing economy, business, and technical development in many different ways. Just to explaining the loop phrasing, so as you can see, the, let's say, the lettering LOOP come from the 4 different projects that are present today. So from Friendship, Circular Form, EcoeFISHent, and Agro to Circular. The, let's say, conjunction of the 4 different logos create this new logo for the cluster that we are going to present and to propose also to our partner to use for future events also in the, let's say, in the next 4 years that are going to, let's say, accompany us for these projects. So without other further ado, I will present you the panel for this afternoon. The first part, of course, this event is divided in 2. In the first part, we are going, of course, to have the coordinator of the Green Deal 3.2 call. And on the second part, there are going to be experts, both from the European side, from industries, and from associations and regions that are going to explain their point of view on circular economy and on how to build a low-carbon, climate-resilient future for cities and regions. So this is the panel from today. It's pretty rich, so without further ado, we will start with Maria Nives Riggio, that is a Deputy General Manager at FILSE. So let's say that she's going to present EcoeFISHent, the first of the 4 projects of the Green Deal 2.2. So thank you.
Welcome everybody. I'm really happy and glad to be here. Thank you for the invitation to this really interesting workshop. I am Nives Riggio. I am the Vice General Director and also the responsible of the European project area of FILSE. And today I will explain the project by Horizon 2020 EcoeFISHent. Before starting, I would like to present quickly. Okay, grazie. My company, FILSE, is the financial agency of Regione Liguria. Our mission is the creation, innovation, sustainability, and growth of SMEs, the supporting of citizen and social needs, the individual territorial vocation action, the environmental development, and financial tools for strategic program and project. We are a total public company. Our major stakeholder is Regione Liguria, and then the other main important municipality of the region, and also the Port Authority and the Chamber of Commerce. Our instruments are the finance management. In every year we manage more or less 300.5 million euros of European, national and local funds. We manage public strategic project and works, also with a group of specialized companies. We have an important area of enterprise creation and an important and strong area of European projects. So this is the area involved in the EcoeFISHent project, the project which we are the coordinator. What's new? What's the matter? No more waste from fish. We will use it totally, usefully, producing food, supplements and cosmetics, and providing fertilizers and energy. No more waste from fishing and aquaculture nylon nets. From them, we'll produce automotive components and packaging for cosmetic products. No more polyester fish crate. We'll produce eco-fish boxes. All this thanks to EcoeFISHent project. The project started in the October 2021, and the end date is planned to September 2026. It is a project on the call for proposal Horizon 2020 with the topic on demonstration of systemic solution for the territorial deployment of the circular economy. It is focused on the research and innovation having a real impact benefiting the citizen, the project, climate action, environment, efficiency, resources, and raw materials. So the total cost of the project is more than 18.5 million, and the EU contribution is more than 50 million euros. The consortium of the project is really, really large. We are 34 partners. Every partner has a specific role and competence in the project that, of course, is really complex, as you could see. We have also involved other European countries, Spain, Bulgaria, and France, 2 associated countries, Israel and Norway, and also an extra EU country, Kenya, because one of the most important topics of the project is the replicability of the solution we are building. Now, some numbers. From 1990 to 2018, the rise in global aquaculture production, in particular, is increasing of more than 500%. Also raised the global capture fisheries and the total food fish consumption. But in the same time, we have a increasing of biological unsustainable fish stocks of more than 25%. What are the forecasts? World fish production, consumption, and trade are expected to increase with a growth rate that will slow over time. Total fish production is expected to expand to 200 million tons in 2030. Aquaculture production is projected to reach to 100 million tons in 2030. It is an increasing of the 32% from over 2018. The prices in the fishery and aquaculture sector are expected to rise in the long term up to 2030. Food fish supply will increase in all regions, but not in Africa, where we accepted a decline of this. This is a problem in terms of food security. The share of fish production destined for human consumption is expected to continue to grow. So, the drivers behind the need for a systemic approach within bio-green and blue economies are several, and in the project we try to solve them. Main issues: decreasing demand-supply outlook in the fish industry sector, increasing plastic and ghost gear in marine litter, increasing ghost fishing and bycatch, anthropic pressure on the blue ecosystem, employment stagnation at EU level in marine living resource and industrial-related domains. What the changes to the status quo? Global fish production will reach, we think, 190 million tons by 2026. Fish production side stream will increase due to fish processing activities. Creation of a resource-efficient, decarbonized economy and jobs to sustain it are mandatory now. More sustainable selective fishing practices are needed to avoid bycatch. Efficiency and sustainability of the blue and green economy system enhancement is needed now. Innovation in logistic product process design is needed to avoid plastic litter and microplastic. The opportunities: efficient use of biomass feedstock can contribute to the EU industrial and economic growth, can reduce GHG emission, can reduce fossil-based product resource dependency. Rising cost effectiveness of the fish industry side streams treatment for high-value application, innovative biomass pre-treatment and extraction tech available for fish processing side stream, innovative bioconversion tech available for sustainable use of fishery industry side streams. The main goal, the general main goal to the project is to demonstrate a replicable, systemic and sustainable cluster for territorial deployment based on climate-neutral, circular economy-inspired principle. The main means will be the creation of 6 multi-level and synergic circular value chains interconnecting blue and green economics. The main goals to streamline the fishing industrial operational flows, including its industrial side stream, establishing a regional reproducible cluster based on the bio-blue-green circular economy approaches, with a proper focus on the valorization of the related waste, for pre-treatment and extraction of bioactive components, and for recycling end-of-life fishing gear from aquaculture and fisheries, to supply the food, automotive, cosmetic, and packaging industries, providing fertilizer and biodiesel for agricultural application as well. The specific objective of the problem: of the project, sorry, to design, development, and innovative biomass pre-treatment and specific extraction technologies to enable sustainable and efficient utilization of fish processing side stream by obtaining bioactives and gelatin for high-value added food supplements and skincare products, biodegradable and compostable barrier layer for food packaging, and other fishing and fish industry side streams will be targeted in order to transform their outcomes into fertilizer, biodiesel, component for cosmetic application, polymer-based automotive constituents, and packaging for cosmetic products. The project is really, and the procedure and the activities of the project are really complex and articulated. So the cluster, once defined and implemented, will make use of a cloud-based platform for the management of the activities, exploit the Internet of Things for secure, effective, and efficient management of the logistic infrastructure. On top of this, we will implement a cluster digital twin, enabling the assessment of the replicability of the project in other geographic domains, fostering prospective investment. Another fundamental specific objective is the chain of the local upscaling of bioplastic production, the production of plastic barrier biofilm for food packaging, the retrievement of polylactic acid beads from agri-side stream for EcoeFISH boxes injection molding, the EcoeFISH boxes production, distribution and recycle, cleaning and recycling of polyamide derived from fishing and aquaculture nylon nets, demonstrate production of recycled automotive components, product, and prove replicability of the recycling process, and then complex assessment of final product. The 6 circular value chains. In this project, there are 6 circular value chains interconnected above them. The first, from fishing and fish industry core product, we will produce food supplements via intermediate, such as omega-3 and collagen, as well as the skin care products. And then we will produce also barrier biopolymer coating for compostable food grade and biopolymer packaging via intermediate such as gelatin. This kind of chains will involve nutraceutical, cosmetics, and bioplastic industries. The other chains, value chains, are from fishing and fish industry side streams. We will produce fertilizer, oil, and chitin via bread larvae. Then from EPLA, we will produce EcoeFISH boxes for fish packaging, down to soil improvement via biofoam intermediate. And then from fishing nets, we will produce vehicle components, food and cosmetic packaging via intermediates as regenerated nylon. And this, the industrial involved in this value chain are agriculture activities, biodiesel and cosmetic industrial, food packaging, and automotive and cosmetic industry. The milestone, the project is until 2026. In June 2023, we planned to have a reference model of the EcoeFISHent logistic platform ready. In the January 2025, we will have the unit ready for starting the continuous extraction of bioactives and gelatin, and also the closed and operating circular value chain for the recycled PA6 and PE. And in the June 2025, we will have the larvae bioconversion pilot unit commissioned and the food packaging circular value chain fully operational. In the August 2025, we will have the cluster digital twin ready and operating, and also the value chain for the EcoeFISH boxes ready. In the January 2026, the circular value chain of fertilizer, chitin and oil from fish residues, and also the cosmetic value chain. And at the end of the project, we will have a cluster replicable via ecosystem, cluster and business modeling to replicate it in geographical areas. Okay, of course, all these activities will need an important and strong supervise from a regulatory point of view. We are planning to align the procedures and records with the requirement expected from legal frames. For each product, we think to build a product information file in order to allow commercialization in demo phase of the project. Country-specific political, economic, social, but in particular legal and environmental analysis will be conducted to assess opportunities and threats for the market development and opportunities of the project. And in particular, we will analyze collection, sorting, and transport to define against actual regulation how to storage and prepare side stream dealing with the European local regulation in respect of the cold chain preservation and side stream transport. This is a topic really important, and it is an issue to study very well from the point of view of the EU regulation. Phytosanitary regulation, formalities for permission to transport animal by product category, compliance with regulation needed to wash and pre-treat nets, on-site recycle APLA EcoeFISH boxes in harbors. All these topics are need many analysis and study, and there may be also solution in terms of regulation and law solution. Identification and analysis of traceability rules and requirements are needed also for food safety policy to food and feed supplements of the project, as well as the nutraceutical products of the project. Partners will manage the need for regulatory guidelines, including technical guidance on procedures to follow in order to ensure product safety and respect of the applicable legislation. The guideline will serve fish industry and bioactive and phyla product producers. Also for the supporting market placing of product on the food, feed and cosmetic market, of course, we will verify that the final product will be in compliance with the EU regulations. The project there is in the project the planning of 2 pre-processing pilot units scaled up and installed to some partners of the project, in which we directly transform fish processing side stream materials flows into fish industries co-products, which can be further exploited for high value added products for human consumption. The preserved side streams will be delivered to Aqua, partner of the project, where with the pilot they will be converted into EcoeFISH powders as to be further sent to the extraction and purification. The pilot processing will enable transforming the FCP to be into final high added value products, food supplements, cosmetics, bio-based polymers. You can see in this graphic the interconnection of the 6 value chain from the fish and fishy industry in the middle of the scheme. You can see that we will have cosmetic, energy, nutraceutical, bioplastic, and automotive from the recycle of fish and aquaculture nets, and EcoeFISH boxes from the agriculture and the recycling and the fertilizer. Every one of these 6 value chain is interconnected with the other. It is a very complex system, but the project want to concretize it. The EcoeFISHent socio-economic territorial cluster is composed by several actors. We need every one of them, belonging to different sectors and organization types: production companies, raw material suppliers, services providers, companies in related fields, and public institutions. The cluster contains 3 types of connection: vertical, between provider and manufacturer along the value chain; horizontal, between manufacturers of complementary products; institutional connection between companies and public institutions. We have in this system side streams providers, technology providers, marine ecosystem preserving and restoring, final product manufactured. 2 minutes, okay. I go fast. These are all the partners of the project. There are many, and each one of them have a specific role and competence. Our respective result: high added value products by EcoeFISHent exploitation of fish processing side stream coming from fishing and fish industries and from retails. We will have, I already showed you, food supplements and skincare products in the nutraceutical and cosmetic industry sector. Gas barrier biopolymer coating for compostable biopackaging, for oxidation-sensitive food obtained by the extracted gelatin to substitute conventionally used fossil barrier polymers. Rear black soldier flies, larvae, with the fish processing side streams and other bio-based side stream coming from the cluster, by obtaining bioconversion for producing alternative fertilizers, oil for biodiesel and chitin. Systemic solution for avoiding landfilling large amounts of polystyrene by replacing fossil-based EPS fish crates with EcoeFISH boxes obtained with EPLA derived by agroside streams. And efficient recycling process of nylon to have bottles for cosmetic packaging improve the ecosystem health status to reduce bycatch, remove ghost gears, and collect, clean, and recycle the ghost gear material. So this is the last slide. The project, the numbers, more than 80 million euro budget, more than 50 million euros financing from the UE Horizon 2020, 34 partners, 10 different final products, 10 involved domains, at least 10, 6 countries involved, 6 new circular value chains, 5 years duration. This is the project. Thank you.
Okay, now we are passing to the second project. The project is called Circular Foam, System Expansion of Territorial Circular Ecosystem for End-of-Life Foam. The presenter is Dorota Pawlucka. Hope that I pronounce it right. I'm improving with my Polish. So she's a Global Alliance Manager at Covestro, and she's working in the area of strategic alliances, public funding, and policy-related issues, especially for circular economy-related goals. And she's, of course, the coordinator of the project Circular to Foam. So the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Fabio, for presenting me. I'm very honored to be here in this magnificent place. In front of so diverse and audience, and also very honored to present our consortium and our project, which is called Circular Foam, and the full title is Systemic Expansion of Territorial Circular Ecosystems for End-of-Life Foam. As simple as that. So I would like to start with a very, very short introduction of my company, because it's very nicely shows how industrial strategy can be implemented in collaboration projects, and why we are also coordinating this one. So Covestro is a large polymer producer. We are a global company with 18,000 people in the whole, around the globe, and with 50 production sites globally. So where we are there, we are working very closely with customers and with our, so to say, partners along value chains, but also with customers of end-of-life products. And we are producing polymer materials that are, and solutions that are used by subsequent industries along the value chain for the production of a diverse and high-end products. And what I'd like to also stress is that we have 1,500 people working for R&D as our, we put a lot of emphasis on innovation and development, becoming sustainable in the future. And we are looking into 80 years of experience in this area as well. So Covestro is promoting the vision of circular economy very closely. We have a very high ambition of becoming fully circular and of becoming the first large industrial company climate neutral. So this is at least the goal that we are following. And we have our strategy for circular economy, which is based on 4 main pillars, so to say. One of them is to get access to alternative raw materials. And so to say, the potential source of these materials is CO2, bio-based materials, but also waste streams. The second one is, of course, to have our products recyclable, because this is what the market requires as well, and what the sustainability requirements need, in fact. A very important aspect also of our sustainability strategy is to have access to alternative energy sources, as we are high energy and intensive industry. And last but not least, we invest a lot into collaboration. I mean, a lot of effort and a lot of, so to say, goodwill into collaboration to make it happen, because we understand we cannot make it alone. So having said this, what can be more beautiful that this Green Deal call, who said, okay, we want to have projects for demonstration of systemic solutions that needs to reflect companies fulfilling their sustainability strategies. So it was very welcome. So we came up with an idea to having a blueprint model for regional application, as we said, responding to the requirements of the call. So we have 22 partners from 9 countries. We will work for 4 years, started half a year ago. And we have a budget of almost 20 million with the EC contribution of 16. And so we made some calculation to see what kind of impact we can bring, and came with huge numbers concerning potential reduction of wastes, CO2 emissions, and reduction of costs for incineration of materials that are incinerated now. So from the very bird perspective, what is circular foam? The scope was, we thought, composed of 4 main elements. First of all, we want to develop industrial technology. Second is use waste as resource. We need stakeholder involvement, that's quite clear. And of course, we want to use digital technologies as enabler to get our goals fulfilled. So to be more and more specific, I would say we came up with idea to have a systemic solution for one specific material stream, which is rigid foam, polyurethane foam, and which would be, so to say, restricted to 2 main waste streams. One is home appliance, more specifically refrigerators, and the other one is construction insulations. As you know, there is no one solution for recycling of everything. So depending on what kind of waste stream you have, you can use different types of technology to obtain different results. What we decided is to develop chemical recycling technology, 2 of them in parallel. One is chemolysis and one is smart catalytic pyrolysis. And with what target? Of course, to obtain alternative feedstock for ourselves. In fact, that could be given further to industries. And now the challenge is to apply it to regions, of course. So the main issue was to set up an industrial value chain. And on this graph, you see how our value chain is composed and the logos of partners. On these logos, you can see who is involved where. So starting by consumer end-of-life waste, we go to collection and sorting of waste streams. Then we go to dismantling and to the pre-treatment of waste streams. And then this pre-treated waste goes to the 2 technologies in parallel. But taking into account that each of the technologies has different requirements concerning the purity of the waste material that it can work with, we have steps in between inserted, which is fine sorting of materials. So then it goes, I don't know if you, sorry, I wanted to use this back. I want to use the pointer, I don't know if I can, okay. But then in the middle, so this blue part, dark blue part is the industrial development of the process of recycling and subsequent processes from which the material is going to our customers who will produce with the recycled products, their products, so new refrigerators, new insulation panels. So all this value chain is based on the materials that are now on the market and now end of life. But of course, in the future, we hope to have materials that can be more easily recycled, and that's why on the top we have part of the work connected to the design of the materials of the future for recycling. The value chain is not everything. There are some complementary aspects that we are treating as well. Starting from the right is the regional work, where we have partners from social scientists, from economy, and from stakeholder involvement. We are dealing with logistics questions. We, of course, are looking into LCA of the whole system, and system analysis and integration to make all these components work together in an optimal way. Of course, as in any project, we also have dissemination, exploitation, and business plan connected activities. Now, if we have the whole value chain in place, now the challenge is how to apply it to regions. So we selected 3 regions where we will develop and apply our solution, and this will be replicated to Europe. Now, so this slide is for me, so I can take a breath and restructure myself a little bit. So it shows that our work is somehow structured, right? So we have the typical work packages, which correspond to focal points in our work. And I'm showing them because I would like to jump into some of them, so to give you just a glance, and before I jump into some more detail about some of them, not all. What happened? Wait, something? Okay. So, okay, without talking too much about this, I will just go further, and you see in the corner up right, this is the, so to say, work package I'm addressing, and here is where I would like to tell something about it. So this one is about the regional work. So the first issue was to define what's the region at all. What is it? So we came up with a working definition saying that a region is a space with high proportion of material flows that are interesting for us. So in this case, it's refrigerators and construction waste, and where a significant number of consumers, industries, regulating institutions, and so are present. Now, having said this, we had to come up with a definition and outline of regions that are comparable in itself, so to be able to do the appropriate research work. So we selected the 3 and outlined them to be comparable. The first one on the left is what we called pilot region. It's a region in Germany. It's part of North Rhine-Westphalia, where we say we are looking at first to figure out what can be, so to say, defined as the right approach, so that 2 follower regions that we have can follow. But in reality, we are in parallel working in all 3 regions and connecting them early enough. So the second one is the Greater Amsterdam region, and third one is one in Poland as well. So greetings to all Polish partners in this project as well. Upper Silesia. We are working in 3 stages. The first one is to analyze the 3 regions. The second one is to develop the blueprint and then the transfer. So when you see that in some issues, these regions are comparable, but in some aspects they are completely different. They have different culture, different, so to say, circumstances in the region, different regulations, and also different way of taking decisions. So the question is how to make the blueprint model robust enough, taking into account that for the application there can be differences. A second one is material product design. So we are looking into a blockchain system to be able to track and sort the materials that we need. We are looking into insulation boards, how to design them that can be better dismantled. The same also for the refrigerator. And similarly, how to apply on how to make the insulations for buildings that can be better dismantled. And also looking into kind of customer experience and co-creation processes. How can we design this process in collaboration? Another aspect is how to collect waste. This is one work package. Here we are looking into collection system, how to make sure that we can collect enough waste that can be treated in a so to say permanent way to make the industrial processes running constantly. Second one is how to dismantle the product. So how would you take out the foam out of the refrigerator? What is the better way? Third one is how to fine sort the materials, and here a device will be developed for fine sorting of waste. And the fourth one, also important, maybe even most, how to make it economic. So what are the aspects that are going into financial viability of the whole solution? And then about the recycling technologies. We have chemolysis and smart pyrolysis. There are two different processes. They are slightly different in the technology readiness level. And for both, we need to develop separation processes. So the outcome of these technologies will be probably kind of, so to say, substance which will be, so to say, impure. So you need to separate what is not necessary to make it clean for further processing. And the whole process design needs to be developed for all the three. And this one was, so to say, in terms of resources, the most heavy part of the project when the most resources are going into. So now, system integration part of issue. System integration part of project. So the challenge is how to connect all these elements that they can work together really in an optimal way. Taking into account not only ecological footprint, not only the environment, but also economic viability, which is important, and the societal footprint as well. So very different elements, so it remains to be seen how we can connect them in a proper way. This will bring, of course, different uncertainties, flexibilities on all corners, so to say, how to make it all flexible enough that it can work. And one of the challenges also when it comes to building recycling plants, how they can be best integrated into existing industrial parks, for example, so that their resources can be used in a most optimal way. So in terms of industrial symbiosis potentials. How to integrate it into the region-specific optimal configuration, and how to identify the, so to say, the synergies for subsequent follower regions and other ones. That's a different format, I think. That was mine. Okay. But the most important thing is in front, so this is nice. If we put all this complexity onto one point, so what is the expected outcome of the project? So we want to have this blueprint, we said. We want to have chemical recycling technology on the right readiness level to be implemented or to be taken further. We want to have materials and processes optimized. And at the end, we want to just put a stamp and have one refrigerator in the room that will be made with recycling products. So one refrigerator does not sound very huge, but if you take into account that we need at least 50, this is what we assume, to recycle, because there will be some losses of materials with the dismantling and technology with transport and so on. So we need to recycle 50 to have one. So we will be hugely happy if we can have this appliance in place in 4 years from now and can take a photo in front of it. Summary and outlook, this is my last slide, saying, okay, project is complex. We are saying we are working on 4 levels inside. One is really standing in the laboratory and developing technology or in front of industrial plants. Another one is to make sure that we collect the right waste. At the same time, looking into transportation ways, how can we transport things? And the upper one is the regional, dealing with stakeholders, with regional authorities, regulations, and so on. And all this seems, so to say, complete, almost complete already, if not the issue, that of course to have the highest impact out of this, so to say, blueprint and this result, we are relying a lot on getting access in the future also to green energy, because as we said before, energy-intensive industry, for energy-intensive industry, this is a major factor to consider for the impact question. And now I would like, on behalf of our partners and myself, thank you for your attention. And I'm open to questions. Thank you very much.
Okay, so there's going to be presented Agro to Circular, the hidden value of agri-food sector residues. Fuensanta Monzó is the coordinator, and let's say she's working from CETEC. She has a degree in chemistry, and let's say that she worked for more than 15 years as a researcher and coordinator of R&D project at the Technological Center of Footwear and Plastic in the region of Murcia, Spain. So please, Fuensanta, the floor is yours.
First of all, thank you for inviting us to this event. We are very happy to be here in this beautiful city. I'm going to present the project Agro2 Circular, and I'm going to show you the hidden value that is behind the agro-food sector residues. First of all, I'm going to give you some general data about the Agro2 Circular, a territorial circular systemic solution for the upcycling of residues from the agro-food sector. This project is founded under the program Climate Action, Environment, Resource Efficiency and Raw Materials, and under the topic Demonstration of Systemic Solution for Territorial Deployment of Circular Economy. So one of the three main features of the project is that it is a territorial solution, a circular solution, and also with a systemic approach. The project started in October 2021. It is a 3-year project and will end in September 2024. The overall budget is of around 17,000 million euros, sorry, and the EU contribution is of around 40 million euros. The project is coordinated by the Technological Center of Footwear and Plastic in the region of Murcia, CETEC. Well, the consortium of Agro2 Circular is made of 41 partners from 9 European countries, 6 RTOs, 13 SMAs, 6 large companies, 5 NPOs, 4 NGOs, 5 universities, and 2 public administrations. As you see, we are covering all aspects that relate to the project, not only the technical part, but also social part, policy making, and even education, citizen awareness. So that's why we have included any kind of expertise in the project. Here you can see the Agro2 circular value chain. It follows a circular economy solution, circular criteria. We start in 3 main waste, industrial waste. So the value chain is formed by 3 value chains that are all interconnected. We start with agro-food industry waste, mainly scrap from fruit and vegetables, and then multi-layer plastic packaging and plastic films. And then we are upcycling them to get value product to be introduced again in different industries, such as cosmetic, nutraceutical, food industry, and also agriculture. One of the value chains will start in scrap from vegetables and fruit. You can see here one of the scraps we are going to treat and manage from broccoli, apple, cauliflower, citrus, artichokes, and grapes. We are developing different kinds of extraction technologies. We are purifying these extracts, and we are getting high-value products that can be used in nutraceutical formulations, cosmetics formulation, and food formulations. Also, the residue from these green extractions will be incorporated in biotechnological routes to obtain biodegradable plastic of the type of PHBV. Another important residue that we are managing are the multi-material and multi-layer structures that have various properties. These structures are not at the moment recycled because there is not a proper solution for them. We are developing a process where we are deciding how to collect, how to sort these multi-layer structures. Then we are separating the metallized part from the non-metallized part, and we are every flow we are develop a different strategy, a compounding strategy for the non-metallized part to get new packaging, and we are developing the lamination procedure to be able to separate the aluminum part from this barrier packaging. This aluminum will be modified to be incorporated again in the plastic to get again a new barrier packaging and a new barrier films to be used again in the agri-food industry. And also the fraction that it's not possible to separate, we are developing enzymatic recycling of this fraction. And from this enzymatic recycling and through biotechnological routes, we will be able to produce building blocks and high-value products and also biodegradable plastic to be incorporated again in the food industry and the cosmetic industry and agriculture. Another waste that we are going to manage in this project will be the barrier films that the agriculture is using for soil disinfection. At the moment, we don't have a good solution for this waste. And we are producing tons of this waste every year in Murcia. So we are also developing a way of recycling them through washing, through compounding, through deep decontamination of this product by ultra-cleaning technologies, in a way that we will be able to produce again a high-barrier plastic film that can be used again for the agriculture. Now I'm going to talk about the data integration system that will be support this solution. It is an important part of the project because through this data integration system, we, through blockchains and machine learning solutions, we will be able to assure the traceability of the waste through the value chains and also to develop predictive tools that will help to optimize all these value chains we are developing. As I said before, one of the features of this project is the systemic approach. So we are not only developing the technology for the upcycling of this waste, but also we are working on the environmental aspect of the project, the socioeconomic aspect, governance, policy and regulatory, funding and financial elements to upcycle this solution and implement it in an industrial level. Technology and research innovation, standardization and capacity building. So for that, different experts are involved in the project, such as policymakers, government and standardization bodies, the research community, civil society organizations, business and industry, and also the education community. For this systemic approach, we have organized the project in 9 work packages. You can see, for example, in work package 1, we are working in the product specification, in the management of the different residues, and also in the data integration system. In work packets 2, 3, 4, and 5, we are developing the different technologies for the upcycling of the waste. We are working in work packet 6 in the demonstration of the different technology and more upscale level. In work packet 7, we are working in the systemic solution, in the replication and scalability of the project, of the solution. And in work packet 8, we are working in communication, dissemination, exploitation, training, and policy recommendations. And as you can see, in this big project with so many partners involved, we have also an important work package that is the project management. I want to highlight, I emphasize that because it is a territorial solution, we are deeply working in the local dissemination, citizen awareness, and training within the project. And for that purpose, we are going to include in the value chains the food waste that are produced in the weekly local street markets. And we also are producing a documentary and a video game involving students from secondary school and from the university. Here you can see the different aspects of this Agro2 circular systemic approach. We are working in the environmental assessment, life cycle assessment, circularity assessment, and also an important part of the project will be to work in the energy and water management to optimize the energy and water management for an environment point of view. And also we are working in social and economic analysis of the project. We are working in regulatory standardization and political relevant factors, and also in communication, dissemination, exploitation, training, policy recommendation, and one important part of the project will be in the involvement of stakeholders that could help us to improve our solution and can give us good ideas for our solution. And finally, I'm going to talk about the important part of the project, scalability and replicability. And as I said before, it is a territorial solution that will be implemented in the region of Murcia, in the southeast of Spain. It is a region where the industry, the food industry and the agriculture is a very important activity. We are developing and we are showing 2 demonstrators of the Agro2 circular upscale technology. And we are working in replicating this solution from the region of Murcia to Italy and Lithuania, taking into account the different aspects that these different regions could have. And to end my presentation, I'm going to show you that the important impact that we expect from this Agro2 circular project. We expect some important environmental benefits. We expect to reduce the consumption of primary materials, fossil, biomass, and metal ores in more than 13,000 kilotons. We expect that through this project we will improve sustainability and circularity of cluster, economic sector, natural ecosystem, management and valorization of local resources. And we are contributing through Agro2 Circular Project in the decrease of carbon dioxide emissions in more than 27,000 kilotons. And regarding social impact of the project, we expect to produce 15 new key exploitable results and more than 30 new circular business models, generating a turnover of 176 million euros. We are also contributing to the creation of new jobs in the short term, 26, in the medium term, 295 jobs, and through replication up to 2,655 jobs. And also, through Agro2 Circular, we are going to produce 30 business ideas and establish more than 100 local alliances in the region of Murcia and through replication. So that's all for my presentation. We have already our own webpage, Agro2 Circular. You can find all the information about the project in this website. And I'm open to any question regarding the project.
Okay, so the people in the crowd should already know the presentation, but all the others and the, let's say, invitees in the room are going to see the Friendship project for the first time. So again, my name is Fabio Magrassi, I'm a project manager, I work at STAM, and I'm helping Kamil to coordinate the project. So
yeah, Kamil Maszcyk from EcoeFISHent.
He's the project manager at EcoeFISHent and the coordinator of the Friendship project. So Friendship, the full title is a front-runner approach to systemic, circular, holistic and inclusive solution for a new paradigm of territorial circular economy. It's a 4-year project, Green Deal project, under the 3.2 as well. And let's say that it will mainly be developed in the Polish region of Łódź.
To be honest, we are consumption of 44 different partners from different European countries. And the Friendship project is one of the biggest European projects in Poland, and for sure it is one of the biggest in Eastern Europe. We could present this project because me and Fabio are engineers, so we can present this project in this very understandable graph, but we decided to do something different.
So instead we decided to do it through a fairy tale. Once upon a time, there was a land called Łódź that in the native language means ship. This is a very strange name for a land, given the fact that it was no any sea around it. After having lived many centuries in harmony with the nature, the inhabitants of the island faced a century of great invention and innovation that brought ship and all the other islands of the kingdom into a situation of great suffering.
So the city of people living in Łódź was under pressure, and when the economy collapsed, they destroy all of the wood there around the Łódź. They destroy all of the water in Łódź. So they produce a lot of plastic with the high carbon footprint, and also the food that they produce, they destroy it, and they scrap it on the waste.
So the people of Ship, in despair, started to look for a solution. They decided to ask a group of 34 different sages how the best way to deal with the problem was. So the sages with divided in 4 different thematic groups to find a suitable solution.
So they decided, you have to make the journey. And the first journey for you will be the heaven. In heaven, you will have and you can solve all of the social problem. Then, after the heaven, you have to go to the purge and meet them politician and try to solve all of the politician problem. And at the end of your journey, you have to go to the hell. In the hell is the easiest part to speak about technical problems.
So they summon a citizen of Ship, originally from Florence, that had a lot of experience traveling through heaven, purge, and hell.
So people in Łódź gave them the roadmap to help him to find the best solution for their problems.
Thus, the explorer started its journey with the aim to find the perfect recipe to solve with circular economy and symbiosis the issues of the land. As reported by the citizen, the road to circularities find many different challenges to solve, but these challenges have to be found in 4 different realms: wood, food, water, and polymers.
So after the long journey, our guy came to the hell. To be honest, this is the most popular pizza in Poland.
So, the mighty adventure reached hell when they find a lot of engineers and scientists. They knew the solution to solve technical problem, and they gave to the mighty explorer the technical pillar. This pillar was divided in 4 different circular systemic solutions: gasification of food waste, recovery of marginal land and decarbonization of plastic production, water and industrial gas purification with microalgae treatment, and decarbonization of plastic production.
Then he moved to the purgatory, and it was full of politicians and politician makers. And the solution that the political guy gave him is to valorization of the value chain, valorization of marginal lands and waste regulation, regulation of agriculture and industrial wastewaters, and CO2 certificates that can be sold. Oops.
Yeah, okay. Lastly, he moved to heaven, where he found all the citizens. They were finalizing a social scheme to support the technological innovation and the regulation of policy developed in the previous level. So they gave him the society pillar, that it was divided again in 4 circular systemic solutions. The first one for waste to energy, another one to recovery of marginal land, the third one regarding plant enabler from waste to fertilizer, and the last one to reskilling worker as good practices.
When he finished the journey, Dante was ready to go back to the ship. And they gave the solution to the people and create the blueprint of sustainability to build the sustainability temple.
So here you can see all the really intricate, let's say, solution that Dante collected through his journey, and is of course the blueprint of the Friendship project. There are the various industrial and urban interconnections, symbiosis that we will create in this 4 years of work through different technological enhancement. As you can see, each one of them is subdivided in one of these 4 circular systemic solutions, and every one points to the territorial cluster development for reaching circular economy.
The ambitious objectives that are translated to the following KPIs and targets for Łódzkie region up to 230, associated with 4 different circular systematic solutions.
Just 1 second. So these are the, let's say, main objective of the project and the different KPIs. So as we can see, all of them are divided in the 4 pillars of the different circular systemic solution, and let's say have a final number on both money value, number of jobs and people involved, so to the social aspect, to the policy aspect, but also to the avoidance of CO2 production. So let's say that lastly, we say in our good fairy tale, Dante succeeded and the citizens, let's say, were really happy to build the temple of sustainability through the use of the 3 different pillars, and decided to spread the word in 4 other countries. So that are also, of course, the other countries that are involved in the project, so Portugal, Greece, Netherlands, and Italy.
Due to the fact that Łódź region is very friendly and very modern, they use all of the popular social media to promote all of the results of the project to other countries.
And of course, at the end of the fairy tale, all ships solve the problem and become circular, mentoring many other regions in Europe to do the same. So let's say that this is what we are looking for in the future in these 4 years of work.
And all of these components are represented in project by 9 work packages. So work package regarding the project management, circular economy, wood processing, food and feed, water and materials, plastics, impact generation of assessment, and dissemination and exploration.
So this was the end of this funny presentation. Thank you very much again for having. I will say that we can leave the floor to, let's say, the municipality that they want to just greeting us in ears. There's the City Councillor for Economic Development, Stefano Garassino, in Italian Assessore allo Sviluppo Economico e Patrimonio of the City of Genoa. We can stay here to answer to other questions later on if there's any. So I will give him just the floor for, let's say, a greetings from the city.
Parlo da... Sì, sì dai. Va bene. Per semplicità, visto che il periodo di grandi impegni. Intanto buongiorno a tutti. Ringrazio per questa bellissima iniziativa. Genova ha bisogno dell'economia circolare, proprio perché è una città stretta tra mare e monti e quindi per noi l'economia circolare è un qualche cosa che parte da lontano.
So, welcome to everybody. Genova is a very narrow city, shrinking between sea and mountains, and for this reason, and many others, including the future of its economic development, for us, circular economy is quite important.
E il sindaco, la giunta, l'amministrazione, ringrazio gli assessorati allo sviluppo economico, ai rapporti internazionali, a tutti quelli al marketing e Alfredo Viglienzoni che è il nostro direttore operativo. Stiamo investendo molto sulle start-up, sulle nuove aziende che si occupano proprio di economia circolare, con degli ottimi risultati. Siamo la seconda città in Italia col più alto numero di start-up, grazie all'incubatore che è stato fatto giù al Porto Antico, al Blue District e il centro nevralgico delle innovazioni. Continueremo a investire sulle start-up. Vi porto ovviamente i saluti del nostro sindaco, che per motivi istituzionali non è riuscito a passare, ma è vicino a quello che è il progetto che sta andando avanti con le aziende che ne fanno parte. Chi investe verso l'economia circolare avrà sempre le porte aperte del nostro comune.
He's representing the warmest welcome from the administration and the mayor in particular, who couldn't be here owing to some engagements. As you know, we are approaching the elections, and so there is quite a kind of heavy-duty activities in this period. As you know, Liguria is the second town in Italy in terms of growth and absolute number of startups. Many of them are incubating. We have an accelerator and incubators in the Blue District, which is not too far from here, built all around sea-related economical activities. Our mayor is also quite, and the administration in particular, Mr. Garassino, who is responsible for is his deputy for economic development, are actually quite much focused on circular economy, promoting every way possible any kind of initiatives to foster this kind of activities and economical ventures.
Abbiamo bisogno di progetti, di idee nuove, perché la nostra visione per i prossimi anni è quella di una città sviluppata sia tecnologicamente, una città aperta, una città turistica, una città innovativa. Quindi tutte le aziende che hanno progetti, idee, ovviamente trovano nella nostra amministrazione la possibilità di realizzare qualche cosa che magari è nel cassetto da tempo. E questo contribuirà sicuramente a rendere la nostra città sempre più bella e meravigliosa, che è quello che vogliamo continuare a fare se ovviamente riusciremo a essere qui ancora per altri 5 anni. Grazie.
So I'm starting from the last statement, which is the spirit that is actually kind of powering both Mr. Garassino as well as the full administration. They have a strong passion to make Genova better and better, more and more beautiful. It used to be known and superb, and people want the city to become more and more beautiful, providing more and more opportunities to its citizens. And in this sense, the administration hopefully will be renewed for another 5 years. Are actually quite happy to listen and kind of accept and support any initiatives that people may present. So everything that people will submit as ideas, proposals, will find a strong support in the administration.
Bene, grazie a tutti.
Thank you all.
So thank you again. Let's open the floor for any question for, say, the 4 different circular economic projects under the Green Deal 3.2. I don't know if we have still some question from the meet or here from the crowd. Yes, just 1 second. We are bringing you the microphone.
Well, we expect to develop enough technology to be able to treat this multi-layer and get these end products. There will be different technology. We have to develop technology in sorting, in collecting, in separating, delaminating. So there are more than one technology involved. Yes, and also in this regarding the multi-layer, but we also are going to develop technology for the fruit and vegetable waste upcycling. Mm-hmm.
Okay, now it's working. So, any other question from the floor? Yes. Just 1 second.
Thank you. I'm Samuele Ambrosetti from Bio-Based Industries Consortium. I don't have as much a question as a statement to make. I'm very happy about seeing these 4 projects, in particular one that is actually led by one of our members, Setec. And I just wanted to point out that as big, even if these projects are not BBI, which is our, let's say, reference work program, we are very much interested in keeping in contact with you and see if we can build any synergy with the BBI and now CBE projects that will be launched soon?
Well, I think there are many synergies between the project because we all are working with plastic materials, I think. So in this sense, there are similar targets. We have similar goals because we are all dealing with this recycling of plastic materials. But also, we are into regulatory schemes. I mean, for example, in our case, we want to develop, we want to end in a plastic that could be used again in food packaging. So we have to work in food contact regulations. And also, we are incorporating our value products in food, in cosmetic, in like the other projects. They are also working on bio product that will be incorporated in cosmetic, in nutraceutical formulation, and there is a lot of regulatory issues in these applications. Yes.
And just to complete on that, another important thing that I think that relate all the 4 different projects is the fact that every one of us is taking the problem of polymers from a different aspect. So I think that these relate quite strongly with the big approach and BBI projects. And let's say that one of the possible interactions that I see is possibly in bioplastics and in way on how we can implement that in the territory, because of course polymers are, let's say, a fil rouge among these 4 different projects.
Mm-hmm. And we are also developing biodegradable plastics. There is another important aspect of this project that is standardization. We are also working on new standards. We are contributing to produce new standards. So in this sense, we can collaborate also. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much for the nice presentations. I was listening carefully, and I was just checking because I think there are 3 points where collaboration is possible. Besides the fact it's all about polymers. So the first of all is what I see is that we're all looking for methodologies in order to activate value chains, in order to visualize what needs to be done and backcast. So those kind of methodologies may be interesting to exchange. What are we using in one project? What are we using in another project? And what does work and what does not work? The second one, what I hear, is also about not only key enabling methodologies, but the key enabling technologies. Because we're looking at tracking and tracing of materials, look at the ways of quality measurement, where does it come from, where does it need to go. And I see those in all 4 projects. That's something, perhaps. And the third one, and that's also related to the title, is what can regions do? How do the project and how do value chains interact with regions? And what instruments do regions have to help the value chains stimulate and also include society? So it's just my analysis, but I'd like to hear some reflection on whether or not this is a correct interpretation of me. So please, anybody, correct me if I'm wrong, or say something else. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much for this remark. This is absolutely right. I also think that this opens up topics for discussions in any case. So that's why we are very happy that we will have these cluster activities from time to time, so we could select topics for for exchange, for collaboration, maybe also bringing our partners together. So the right partners who are in each project dealing with the specific issues so that they can also meet in place, not only one person presenting in front of one project, but really have a collaboration in a sense. So this opens up good, so to say, themes, good topics. Thank you for this.
And also regarding the regional aspect, I think that in this specific cluster, it's something peculiar from the Horizon 2020 for sure. I think that having a lot of region interacting in the 4 different projects can also push, as we said before, the policies at European level. So having also maybe later on the intervention of the European Parliament could be a possibility to push this change also from the policy perspective. Okay. Some other question? Otherwise, we can, I think, yes, Eva.
Good morning, hello, no good morning, but afternoon. From the perspective of Friendship Project, I think all of projects presented today are nearly the same, because we are talking about circularity in different areas. However, the principle of objectives, principle of each the project are the same. And what can we share? I'm responsible in Friendship of information collecting, processing, and sharing. And I think that the tool we elaborated within Friendship Project could be useful for all of us, for all the project. So this is my invitation to a sister project to prepare toolkit for boosting circularity in each area of our activities. In Friendship, we have 4 technologies, close to your technologies, and probably you can share with us a specificity of your project to use it, to put it, to implement it into our toolkit. So that's our input to your project, could be, of course. Thanks.
You know that the main goal of all of this project is a replication of the results of the project, and a replication of our project are not only for the citizen, not only for the politician, but also for the other companies under the project. So all of us are mostly focused on the polymers. And a lot of companies here are developing polymers, they're working with the polymers. And even that in Friendship project, there are companies that are not in other project, but they can cooperate, they can change technology, they can change minds, and bring the solution that help all of these projects to be ready.
Some other question from the crowd? Okay, I think that we can have a good half an hour, even 40 minutes of, let's say, networking during the coffee break. So just a quick announcement for, let's say, the Friendship sailor from Luca of Velta, and then we can move to the coffee break. So
yeah, no, I wanted to ask for the partners involved in task 6.1 of Friendship, if you can quickly raise the hand if you will be tomorrow at the kickoff meeting at lunch, because I have to tell the amount of participants to the restaurant. So I have already like 10 confirmations on virtual. Yeah, so wait, I will count. 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So yeah, it's 16. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I will give another big round of applause to our speaker of today, of this part of the afternoon, and thank you very much. Let's hope to have kick off this clusterization of the project and to bring it also to the CCRI later on in the afternoon, so maybe we can push also some answer to them later on. And thank you to everyone. Just be here 10 minutes before 5. So coffee break for you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for being here. Warm welcome to those which are connected online. This is the second part of the afternoon for the Friendship workshop, inviting all the other projects funded within the Circular Cities and Region initiative. I would like, before starting, to congratulate and thank my colleague Fabio, Sofia, Giorgia, and Beatrice, and many others, because they were able to organize such an event in only a few weeks. So a warm thank from myself. My name is Stefano Carosio, and the Executive Director of STAM, which was organizing the workshop today. We have the pleasure to have with us a fantastic panel in this session. I would start from the first speech, which is delivered by Alfredo Viglienzoni, which is the Vice General Director of the city of Genoa. He is a very knowledgeable person about smart cities and technology. He is Executive Vice President of the Genova Smart City Association, and will give us an overview of the projects that the municipality and the associations are undertaking in the framework of sustainability and smart city. The floor is yours.
Thank you. All right. Sorry, I'm doing the slide monkey. Yeah. Okay. So, as you probably know, at the beginning, which means in the late 80s when the smart city concept came about, it was basically the idea underpinning the smart cities was we have a lot of new ICT technologies. We need to intercept them and use them to make life better. Afterwards, the concept of resilience, which means being strong enough to be operating continuously in time, came about as well. And then afterwards, the third concept of sustainability came about, because as you all know, many initiatives that we undertake must be sustainable, starting from our recovery funds. Many of the opportunities we got are money which is lent to us. We don't have them for free, for granted. So the investment we are making must be sustainable in time. And in the same light, whenever we use something from the environment, we must use it in a very conscious way. In a way like, I cut a tree and then I plant other 2 trees, something like this. So I want to talk a little bit, introduce another concept which has to do now with the circular economy. In the upper left part, you see the ideal circular model, in which from the beginning up to the point in which you recycle or reuse something, there is no waste. Unfortunately, sometimes we are kidding ourselves, because especially in some areas which are not production, but in the dispatch, delivery of some goods, there is a lot of waste. And therefore, only lately, the Italian government, for instance, has been establishing rules according to which we actually have to measure in a more thorough way whatever has to do with the circular economy. At the bottom left, you see that typically we tend to measure whatever has to do with energy or with raw materials But there are a lot of other things that are not taken into account when we talk about circular economy. The concept of circular economy only lately received some thorough way of measuring them. I report here what I think is the most thorough way of actually measure whether a venture, which could be like a product development, a cycle, or a service, or whatever, is actually fully sustainable and circular. And what is underpinning this slide? Why am I talking about this? I'm talking about this because, as in every other part of life, also when you talk about circular economy, the most important concept is the concept that you need to be able to measure everything. In my book, whenever you are not able to measure something, that object, that thing, does not exist. So only when you measure something you are able to measure, then you know what that object is. So I'm now going to emphasize and talk about what we do in this town to actually look at numbers and look at data. The first point is the importance of intellectual integrity. You need to be conscious about who you are, what you're doing, and in my job, I am actually exposed to many initiatives, concept proposals, which are actually not exactly what they're meant for or what they're supposed to be. The other important factor approaching these topics is actually competence. So, historically, in cities, as in many other areas of the world, the data are actually silos. So, you have port, harbor information, energy information, lighting information, transport information. All these data are actually in silos. But now, I mean, in the latest part of the 90s, the early part of the 20s, the concept of interoperability came about, and I'll show you what in our city do with interoperability. But more importantly, it is beyond interoperability, you must adopt a concept which is called data lake and data rivers, which means aggregating information and with the techniques which are basically blinding part of the information of a data set to make it available in certain verticals, you need to have all the data in the same homogeneous data information repository. In our city, we started a new, quite innovative model for our citizens, which is actually starting from these kind of technologies. In our city, we have been thoroughly using interoperability. Most of our databases are actually able to interoperate with each other. But in many cases now we have a data lake which is allowing data to be shared among verticals. We started now, I don't know if you know, but we could not announce it because we are in pre-election period, but as of a month ago, all services that the Genoa Municipality is offering to our citizens is actually digital. And we have 3 ways to actually interface with the municipality. The most important is what is called the fascicolo del cittadino, which is a citizen folder. This is kind of unique because you just have a single login. So you, as a person, log in with your digital identity or identity card, and you can see all yourself in a single repository without needing to kind of sign off and actually check in the various applications. We also, we offer all the services that the municipality, together with the wholly owned companies like transport or garbage management is actually available. The key is actually interoperability and data lake. So we have been able to use and make usable in a single login all the data about citizens and services. This is a screenshot from the main site of our municipality. There are 4 buttons. As you see at the bottom, one is circled in red, which is the Fascicolo del Cittadino. The second one is Sportello Unico, which means the same kind of services, but instead of logging in as a person, you can actually look for a service. So imagine you from the Netherlands or wherever, you want to open a bookshop in Genoa, you need to get some permissions. You can actually access those through the second button, and you can apply for whatever service you look for. You get a ticket, you get confirmation, you actually have been filling your case properly, and then you'll get updates on your application. The third one is quite interesting. It has been in operation now for 18 months. It is actually the way in which citizens can talk to the administration. It's called Signal Us, Segnalaci. The fourth button is actually Fix an Appointment. Maybe some people are actually not confident that talking through like electronics is actually not appropriate, and so you still can get an appointment and talk to us in person. All services are now available, so you can enroll your children to school, you can check what they're eating, you can book shops from libraries, you can book medicines from pharmacies owned by the municipality, you can pay your taxes, you can pay your fines, and so on and so forth. The Sportello, on the other hand, you see, can offer you the possibility to actually register and request any kind of services from the municipality. This is quite interesting because it is actually leading to another point I want to make. We just opened up what you see here, which is an operation center, which is used by our police and our civil protection. So we manage here traffic information, any kind of city relation aspects, as well as emergencies. We installed here some software. I can't disclose the developer. It is a company based in Israel I did business with years ago. And the applications we loaded here are actually enabling you to, for instance, if a person with a red shirt actually has been stealing a bag, we can in real time inquire about 2,500 cameras, and we can locate every person who is wearing a red shirt and is actually carrying a bag. So we can almost in real time locate whoever has been committing any crimes in town. Many other services like this. Now, as you can imagine, this service is actually in a quite holistic way, is putting in common a lot of information. This is the novelty. It's not actually only watching at cameras. It's actually watching also at rain data, rainfall information data, the height of the water in our rivers, and so on and so forth. We are actually going forward in this one, and this is actually telling you that circular economy is actually ready to exploit this. The first step is actually customer relation modeling. So right now you can interface in fully digital way to the municipality, but you need to use a tablet, a smartphone, an iPad, whatever. In the future, with the CRM, you'll be able, for instance, to use other ways to communicate, including voice itself. But the other way, the other important factor, which is important for actually showing how much we actually have been able to create data lake and interoperability, we are actually extending the concept of this operations center, which you saw operating for police and civil protection. Now, we're going to extend it to everything in the city. So we have a major project to create a super data lake with artificial intelligence able to warn the administration about anything that is happening. For instance, imagine you have 3 major ships approaching the harbor. We have a strike whereby motorways are actually clogged. You can actually define the best approach to mitigate the impact on the city. You can monitor pollution, you can monitor the impact of all the garbage that you're using and the way you are actually recycling and disposing of it. So this is Segnalaci, the application I mentioned before. I just wanted to highlight that we have been addressing so far about 16,000 citizen issues. This is telling you that in the beginning, we took about between 40 and 50 days to address a citizen issue. Today, the time we spend to actually address I call it customer, but like citizen issues, is actually between 4 and 5 days. So the capability of the municipality to address citizens' concern is actually improved enormously. I actually would like to skip these slides to actually focus on this slide, which is telling us that data in our municipality and the amount of data and the kind of data we are actually detecting, measuring, and tracing is substantially increasing. The year-on-year rate moved from the 15–20% in the past 2 years. Now we are actually, in the past 12 months, it increased 25%, and we lately passed the amount of 1 petabyte of data that we need to actually keep in our repository. Just to complete the kind of the background to actually face circular economy and be able to measure it, here is our sustainable action plan. We plan to reduce by 40% CO2 in the city by 2030, and we are quite much underway. The major action which is enabling us to reduce CO2 emission is the fact that we are completely refurbishing all lighting in the city. We have 58,758 light points, which are all moving to intelligent points and diode emitting light. And this is enabling us to actually decrease by 60% power consumption in lighting. Another major activity we are having to move into this direction is local transportation. These are the major lines where most of the people are actually traveling in our city. And by 2025, half of the public transportation will be electric or hydrogen. Hydrogen, especially on the hills where the travel and the energy consumed required to move the vehicle is actually more challenging. Finally, I don't want to comment on this, but making another remark, major actions are actually being taken by the municipality and the city. We actually got investment for 6.5 billion euros currently, and most of these are actually focused on control of emissions and data tracking. We are working on 2 major initiatives for circular economy. We are actually working with a company who is going to work in Genoa, which is planned to reuse. It is a circular economy of carbon. We are actually going to reuse vegetable-sourced cloth like linen, cotton, or paper or like disposed wood to produce carbon fibers, which are going to be used in sailing and kind of automotive. The second opportunity is actually it is a waste circular economy. We're going to use wet garbage, which is like fruit, vegetables, as well as part of plastic, to produce in a ratio between 10 and 90% hydrogen and methanol. And the ratio can be varied, so if you have a period in which you require a lot of hydrogen, you can produce 90% of hydrogen and 10% of methanol, or vice versa. If you don't need the hydrogen, you can produce 90% methanol and only the excess in hydrogen. And in extreme summary, I want to say data is everything. Control of everything around you is essential to actually talk seriously about circular economy. The municipality is actually developing both for itself and for ventures located in our land a serious and strict approach in terms of data monitoring. We are also working in promoting the establishment in our land of two quite significant opportunities and ventures in circular economy. I just wanted to give you an idea, though, in summary, of what the municipality is actually thinking in terms of circular economy with this. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Alfredo, for your broad overview of the different initiatives that the city of Genoa is undertaking. From your words, I can get indeed the twin transition combining the digital and clean transformation of our society and the user-centric approach, which I do believe is critical to actually implement any circular economy approach. The tangible and intangible dimension with the data, which will become in the future a key component of any sustainable business model, and the fact that Genoa is also hosting one of the keynote for data management is another opportunity for the local territory. Because Alfredo is supposed to leave us in about half an hour, even earlier, for institutional businesses, I was wondering whether is there any question from the floor that we may pose already to Alfredo, anticipating a bit the Q&A session at the end. Is there any specific or question or curiosity about what the city is undertaking? I think your presentation was very clear. Please.
Maybe a very practical question. In the Netherlands, we deal also with privacy issues on data, especially concerning persons. So do you foresee any challenges when you move on with the project idea concerning that, and what are your solutions, probably?
So privacy and security are actually two big challenges when you build a data lake. And so in terms of security, we are actually put in place a lot of strict operations and requirements. First of all, we have real-time backup between two data centers. So data are actually simultaneously, completely reproduced in two different data centers, which are located about 150 kilometers one from each other. And there is a dedicated fiber optic network enabling, we own this network, exchanging the data between the two. So there is an immediate recovery from one with respect to the other. Secondly, every week we have a full offline backup of all the data that we have. So this is actually protecting us from like a cyber attack in which people want to harm your data, because we have we probably lose like a few days, maximum 6 days, but we have a full data backup offline of our data. In terms of privacy, So we are using pseudonymy of all the data that we kind of host in our database, so that we have different ways of call out data of a person. Like a person has a name, a surname, as a kind of a code, which is called the codice fiscale, which is like similar to social security number or whatever. Then you have address, you have your family tree, you have various kinds of it. So depending upon what application is extracting this data, we are blinding and creating like a mirror of this person, protecting the identity. And there are double access keys enabling every single application then to read this kind of information. So this is protecting the identity of each person. Also, for instance, you notice that we have this, we have cameras around the city. In this kind of operating center, faces are completely blinded. So faces may become clear only in case of an improper behavior. So if somebody is attacking another person and this is recorded on cameras, then faces have become visible. But faces are actually blinded, so there is no information about the face. Another way to protect it, we do, for instance, trace, I'm just giving you some flavors all around. So another flavor is we do trace SIM cards to know about movement of people in and out of our city. So we actually have a very good map of where people come from and to. This is enabling us to learn more about the traffic patterns and then be able in the future to provide better traffic models in the city. Also in this case, there is no way to actually reconnect the SIM to an operator or to a person. So we tend to kind of have a double key access to protect identities and blinding any data that we don't need to know, basically.
Thanks a lot. Is there any other question? Okay, so then
I have one, sorry. Just, yeah, from behind, sorry. So how do you think that we can, let's say, share the result of the previous project that we presented, so regarding circular economy at the regional level all over Europe, in a city like Genoa? So how this can be translated in a tissue like Genoa?
Can you maybe repeat your question, because I probably missed it.
Yeah, how can we translate the result of projects such as Friendship and the other European project to a, let's say, a social tissue like the one in Genoa? Because of course we have different kind of tools that are, let's say, prepared for different kind of people, so to policymakers, to, let's say, citizens. And how can we translate these kind of tools that are maybe let's say, think it for an European, let's say, public to Genoa and to other cities similar to Genoa?
Okay, so I think I need to look into this a little bit more, but I think it would be definitely possible to do this, definitely. I was discussing with Professor Dameri, who is sitting right here, before we started this session. I believe that in many situations we do things in cities and we tend to redo the same things over many times. And I think for the good of our citizens and to reduce the spending, we probably should also adopt a strategy whereby all that we do can be reused. In fact, many of the things I've done are actually partially reused from somewhere else. I didn't use public money to do what I described. Most of the things we do, we imported from other cities. We cooperate a lot with Milan, Turin, Venice, Florence, and we kind of redeployed many of the things we do. I see no reasons why a more thorough approach can be actually kind of used and adopted in the future also.
And I think that to complement what Alfredo said, we have here all the secretariat and the key persons of the association, Gloria Piaggio, Stefano Dolcino and Professoressa Meri, which are definitely involved in every activity related to replication without reinventing the wheel and try to maximize the opportunities and assets. So I think that if there are no any other questions, we can move to another dimension, which is actually the European dimension. And we have the pleasure of having with us Dr. Pavel Misiga, which is head of unit circular economy and bio-based systems. So I think it's the place where the innovation policies are built and where the projects are supposed to implement those measures. So I think that it will be very interesting for us to understand what the Commission is conceiving to help cities like Genoa and regions like Liguria to network with other cities and also implement successful circular economy paradigms. So the floor is yours. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to everybody. It's a pleasure to be with you, and I apologize I cannot be with you in person. So I listened to the last presentation, and I think that you had extremely interesting exchange today about many, I would say, detailed issues, very pertinent, of course. What I would like to do now is to make a step back a little bit and to look at, I would say, ground things, to look into the reasons why we are engaging in this, why the European Union is developing policies in this field, and why the service where I come from, the Directorate General for Research and Innovation, is investing rather substantial amounts of European taxpayers' money to stimulate circular economy activities and to contribute to the societal transition to make our economy and society more circular. Let me present a short presentation. I hope it will work. Can you see my presentation?
Yes, thank you.
Excellent. So the first thing I would like us to look at is what is going on in our society. And here I present the result of a group of scientists around Will Stephan. For about 15 years, they are analyzing a number of indicators of economic and natural response indicators. And perhaps it is not that important that you see what these graphs are about, but what is important is to see the general shape of these trends in a number of indicators that actually show what they call great acceleration. So from approximately 1950s, our economies and societies are engaged in a process of enormous increase of use of natural resources, and the natural system responds that in a similar way. We see the same shape of those graphs on the right side of the slide that represent actually the degradation of natural systems. Climate is one of those, but it is not only climate. Climate is just the best example of what's going on, but we see this degradation in many other areas than climate or concentration of greenhouse gases in atmosphere, be it degradation of terrestrial and marine ecosystems, be it chemical pollution, etc., etc. Based on this, understanding of what's going on, a theory of planetary boundaries was proposed, where these trends in economic development and the response of natural systems is put together, and it is proposed that that the natural systems have a boundary, and that within which the human society operates, and that we are getting dangerously close. In some cases, we already exceeded these boundaries, and we undermine our own existence. So this theory, for example, says that we are very close to boundaries in terms of climate change, but that we have already exceeded these boundaries on number of important terrestrial systems like biochemical flows, land system change, etc. So what is the solution to that? I think that this is nothing new for you. The only chance for humanity is that we decouple environmental degradation from economic growth and human well-being. So this is a very nice theory, but how to do it? Perhaps the best example of attempt of politicians to apply this concept of decoupling is the current climate policy, where you can see the blue line is actually projection of greenhouse gas emissions if nothing happens, and the red line is actually the policy, the policy vision, how the policy can decouple greenhouse gas generation from the economic growth, and what needs to be done. So this is one example. We don't have such good examples in many other environmental areas. Perhaps the pressure is not perceived as as urgent as with climate yet, but it is unfortunate because the pressures are in many other areas. So the European Union starts to recognize the situation, and the reaction of policymakers to this is the European Green Deal, proposed by the President von der Leyen. This very ambitious policy was adopted just a few years ago. It is very comprehensive. It has the climate component. It has component of nature or ecosystems, but also elements related to important economic systems, for example, agriculture, transport, built environment, but also the material aspects. And related to that is a plan to transition the European economy into the circular one. So the important thing to realize is where we are with circular economy. On this slide, you can see two pictures. The left one is a conceptual model of circular economy, very well-known butterfly picture where all materials circulate as much as possible, maintain the value in the economic system, and also maintain materials. And through this, the environmental negative environmental impacts are reduced, are contained. So this is the theory, but what is the reality? And the reality is expressed in the right side. That actually, this picture actually shows what is the actual flow of materials through European economy. So out of approximately 8 gigatons of materials that the European economy uses, very small part, less than 10%, actually creates the loop at the bottom and represent the circular economy. And even majority of this, because this flow diagram is in mass, in gigatons, actually majority of this loop is just very low grade circularity. For example, to use minerals, inert materials from demolition, etc. Moving a lot of inert materials from one place to another and use them as very low value material to fill the voids and holes, etc. So real circular economy is a niche. This is a very marginal part of European economy. Majority of materials have linear fate. They are extracted, they are processed, used, consumed, and disposed and dissipated into the environment. This is reality. So why is it so, and what needs to be done? The new Circular Economy Action Plan tries to provide some answers to these questions. It provides a general framework, identifies the sectors where circularity is most important, so that it brings the highest environmental benefits. Focuses also on waste and effective policy and legislation that will stimulate creation of markets for secondary materials. But the Circular Economy Action Plan also looks at other elements without which it is unrealistic to expect that this will actually happen, which is, for example, the social dimension of circular economy. So that circular economy has to have economic benefits, create jobs, provide education and skill development for people, as well as ensure more fair regional development. Another horizontal element is investment and economic instruments. We see that finances are important, and finances to some extent maintain the linear character of material economy. So we need to invest into circularity, in circular solutions. And another element is that it is not enough if Europe becomes circular. It is important to promote circular economy at global level as well. But despite the good intention of policymakers, this transition is extremely difficult, because the economic system is optimized for this linear processing of materials that has been here for centuries, and definitely for the whole period of after the Industrial Revolution. So almost everything, all institutions, the markets, technologies, etc., are adapted and optimized for linear economy. So it will be extremely difficult to change it. On this slide, what I am presenting is a kind of conceptual approach to the transition. What needs to be done if we want to change? So the landscape layer is the framework. This includes also policy and institutions, including education, markets, etc. The middle layer, which is called regime in this conceptualization, represents actually value chains. So linear value chains have to be replaced by circular ones, but that it doesn't happen automatically. It will involve certain disruption, the destruction of linear value chains and creation new ones. But what is also important is what is at the bottom of this picture called niches, and what we can understand under these niches is actually experimentation and projects and initiatives in many economic sectors, and led by individual companies, led by other institutions, municipalities, or even individual citizens and their associations. So these are very important processes that actually these are the actors of change, and what we need to do is to support these agents of change so that they multiply, they succeed in their experiments, and when they reach certain critical mass, what is a niche now will become more mainstream, and they will help to break the old value chains and create a new one. So this is a kind of understanding of the transition process that is basis for the activities to support circular economy in the field of research and innovation. So we understand that circular transition is inherently innovation agenda. We have to bring a lot of new solutions. Of course, technology is an important enabler, but we need also new business models, new governance models, social innovation that is necessary for systemic transition. And we also understand that strong incentives will be needed to support the niche, to support experimentation, multiply it, and reach the critical mass. Now, what is the role of European Framework Program for Research and Innovation? And here I will mention both Horizon, the past one, Horizon 2020, and Horizon Europe. So we understand that this program can be a very important instrument to provide incentives for these niche activities, for these first adopters of circular solutions, experimentation and demonstration of solutions. And we have already done quite a lot in the past. In Horizon 2020, in the period of 2014 to 2020, these experimentations and demonstrations received more than 2 billion euro. And also there were additional instruments, including the financial instruments under EcoeFISHent, which was a component of Horizon Europe that was managed by the European Investment Bank. So, for example, just one example in the field of circular economy, a new circular bioeconomy investment fund was created that combined public and private funding into one investment fund of a size of 300 million, and it is now supporting circular bioeconomy projects. So it was in the past. So we can estimate that something like 2 to 4 billion euro were invested just from Horizon Europe to support experimentation and demonstration in the field of circular economy. Now, what is the role, or what are the opportunities in Horizon Europe in the current program in the period 2021 to 2027? Here you can see the structure of this program, and obviously all elements can contribute, but the most relevant is Pillar 2, that is focusing on global challenges and European industrial competitiveness. It is structured into 6 clusters, and there are 2 most relevant clusters. Cluster 4 on industry, digital, and space, and and cluster 6 on environment, food, bioeconomy, natural resources, agriculture. I personally work in the cluster 6, so I will speak more about activities of Horizon Europe in this part. So I will present what is in the pipeline, what we are doing now. So what we plan is that we will again invest in experiments and demonstrations about 2-3 billion euro. We have already implemented, sorry, there is a typo, it's work program 2021-2022 budget that should include about 600 millions for activities related to circular transition. We will support research actions that will develop innovative solutions in the direction of set, and towards objectives set by the circular economy action plan. There will be also a lot of innovation action, and I would like to stress that we want to move more from research actions to innovation actions to deploy the solution that have been developed before. So this includes experimentation, demonstration, and first market applications. And under cluster, under the second pillar, we foresee 3 large initiatives. One is the Circular Bio-Based Europe joint undertaking. It is a public-private partnership with the bio-based industry to develop circular solutions for bio-based systems. And why we are dealing with that, why we are highlighting bio-based. So the biological part of material economy is important. Approximately 1/4 of all materials are of biogenic origin, and it is one of the most wasted material. So out of approximately 2 gigatons of biomass used by European economy, about 600 million tons is wasted in one way or another. So this is why this partnership is there to make sure that these wasted resources are actually used in circular way. Another large-scale initiative is industrial symbiosis hubs. This is within a cluster that deals with industrial leadership, so focusing on industrial symbiosis, collaboration of industrial companies in certain territories, and ensure that waste from one facility becomes a feedstock for another one. And the third large initiative is Circular Cities and Regions Initiative. I will speak about it a little bit later. But I would like to mention also investment under Horizon Europe framework program. So there is the Invest EU investment program for Europe, and this one has a specific window for innovation. So this window will be very important, and combined with the infrastructure window, this InvestEU program has a huge capacity to finance and stimulate circular economy projects. There, under InvestEU, we expect a lot of different instruments, generic funding instruments, as well as thematic financial instrument. And one instrument that is taking shape is called Green Transition Instrument, that provides kind of tailor-made solutions for riskier circular economy projects. So this element of financial engineering and blending public and private funding is important. It can leverage a lot of investment. So this is broadly speaking about what we are planning under Horizon Europe, and more specifically now about the Circular Cities and Regions Initiative. I understand that there will be another speaker who will who will go into detail, so I will stay at more general and policy level here. Why we consider cities and regions as agents of change, as one of those experimentators and demonstrators that we need to support and help them to succeed. There are a number of opportunities that we see. Cities are important market actors. They procure a lot of goods and services. They plan and implement a lot of civil engineering, constructions, infrastructure projects that use enormous amounts of materials. They are also very flexible and innovative compared very often to national level. They have also capacity to reach stakeholders that have to collaborate in circular economy value chains or circular solutions. They have convening power, and this is very, very important. But they also face a lot of challenges. They may not have enough money. They may not have technical capacity, especially in smaller municipalities. A problem can be also the continuity of political priorities in local governments. So we need the cities and regions to be also supported by national governments in providing policy framework and provide additional incentives from national level. And so based on this understanding of the potential of cities and regions, we created this EU Circular Cities and Regions initiative, which is essentially a support scheme for regional and local circular economy initiatives. And this scheme brings together different instruments so that they act and create synergies and bring some additionality in the support for the local initiatives. I will explain later. So the target group for these initiatives are local and regional consortia of stakeholders that are proposing systemic circular economy solutions at regional scale. They can be led by local authorities, but not necessarily. It can be these initiatives can be also led by industry and bring together research organizations, citizens organizations, etc. And the comprehensive support I mentioned before consists of several tools. So the main one is grants, providing free money, for experimentation and demonstration. So the typical activity of Horizon Europe, and we foresee that we will be able to invest about 200 million over 6 years to offer grants to these local initiatives in the form of calls for proposals for demonstration projects. But we want to bring other instruments because we have decades of experience that providing grants to a research or innovation project, demonstration project, doesn't mean that the solution will be taken up. So we want to ensure that the demonstration projects are followed up and the innovation is brought to the market, or simply it is brought to the existence and attracts necessary investment, etc. So another element that we are proposing is the project development assistance. So mature demonstration projects can apply for additional funding to get the necessary technical assistance to develop investment proposals. We envision about 50 million for this. If this part of the program is successful, we may consider even more. And we have two ways how this will be implemented. We will collaborate with the European Investment Bank that will support large projects, provide technical assistance to large investment projects, and then we kind of invented a new type of grants. We call it project development assistance under Horizon Europe for smaller investment projects. And then there is a non-financial assistance that will be delivered via a network of collaborating organizations, including European Investment Bank on advisory on financing and investment, the OECD with advising on governance, and many other organizations that are there at national, regional, and European level, including the, for example, the associations of regions, association of cities, or organizations like ECLE, etc. Then there are other type of organizations. So they are invited to work with us with small financial support to improve and deliver this non-financial assistance. And all this scheme will be coordinated by a dedicated structure, the coordination of and support office, and we will see the presentation from the office later. So how this CCRI actually works? So we see that there are several stages of life cycle of local and regional circular economy projects. What is important as the first step is engagement of different stakeholders, including political representatives of cities and regions. This stage will be supported by external partners like ECLE, Circular Economy City, or Circular Cities Declaration, Green Cities Accords run by our colleagues in Directorate General for Environment and other initiatives. Once there is engagement, the initiative moves into the planning stage. So they form some kind of partnership or organization, and they start to develop their circular economy strategy and plan. And here the non-financial assistance will be applied. So the European Investment Bank, OECD, and other collaborating agencies will provide their support. Then the next stage is implementation of small-scale demonstration projects. And here we are proposing grants and technical assistance at the end of this project, the technical assistance, financial assistance in the form of project development assistance and setup. And then we have the last phase, once the demonstration is successful and the project gets into deployment phase, what is most needed is investment. So we expect that different sources of funding will be used, including structural funds, national funds, but also investment by national promotional banks, InvestEU instruments, as well as private investment institutions. So this is the vision. We are starting with this scheme, and the project that are presented today are the first examples of projects under this scheme. So what I would like to do at the end of my presentation is to wish you all the success to deliver viable solution, and I hope that the Horizon Europe, with all its instruments, including the CCRI scheme and support from collaborating organizations, may be helpful at some point, depending on your needs, so that the solutions that you are developing will actually contribute to the transition towards circular economy in Europe.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Dr. Misiga. I think that you gave us a very comprehensive overview of the different policy instruments, but also practical hands-on activities that the Commission, together with the other key institutions and in collaboration with the Member States, are being implemented. My suggestion, because we are a bit in delay, would be to pass to our next speaker, which is actually taking from the last slides presented by Dr. Misiga and focus more onto the Circular Cities and Region initiative. So I have the pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Andrea Accorigi, which is a project manager in the support office that has been created and launched by the Commission under the CCRI initiative. So the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yes.
Thank you. So first of all, thank you for the invitation. And again, I am also sorry to be unable to join you in person, but at least we have some tools anyway to make this presentation. And again, the idea here is really to present the CCRI, but especially with a focus on the coordination and support office where I work as a project manager together with other colleagues, of course, and working also as a senior consultant at Accorigi. So this presentation again is focusing on a short presentation to repeat a little bit some key parts of the Circular Cities and Regions initiative, but especially on the coordination support office, as the objective says, really the entity that try to facilitate the coordination, and then we explain how this support is enhanced and considered in this initiative. So again, a couple of words to follow what Pavel Misiga said. The CCRI is, of course, one initiative of the European Commission, DG Research Innovation, and the Coordination Support Office is a framework contract led by the European Commission and externalized to a consortium. Let's say what is, I think in my opinion, is very important also to underline is that the policy framework that has launched is supporting the Circular Cities and Regions initiative. And as Pavel said, there is from one side, policy-wise, the Circular Economy Action Plan, the last one in 2020, therefore part of the universe of the European Green Deal, but also, as also was very well explained in the previous presentation, Horizon Europe or Horizon 2020 are really the work programs, research innovation work program, really providing the financial resources and the criteria for this initiative. Well, the scope of this initiative is like, in my opinion, the key word here is really implementation. Implementation what in this initiative are called circular systemic solution. And I try to explain a little bit what this terminology means. Circular is related, of course, to circular economy. Solution is because like projects, measures, policy, any kind of action at the local level is in circular economy, especially if it's a circular economy, let's say 2.0, beyond the mere waste management, that can be considered also a solution to having a city more green, having a city more circular, but also tackling several, let's say, policy areas like climate mitigation, and of course a sustainable and just transition towards the circular economy. Why systemic? Well, we are trying really to support with the CCRI systemic solution. That means systemic from the point of view that different stakeholders are participating into this solution, into these projects. Several dimensions of the circular economy are included. Of course, the economic one, but also the social one, a just transition, for example, and the environmental one. So circular economy should be also in line with not be harmful with the environment, to the people, to the animals, and to our ecosystem. Systemic also because it's not considered just only one dimension, one sector of the circular economy, but really try to be as much as possible systemic and comprehensive in its implementation. The scope is also the CCRI to try to facilitate the collaboration between projects, initiative, organization, city, region, so different kind of stakeholder. We are very, let's say, aware that it's not only the one initiative, the only initiative operating in circular economy, also the regional and local scale. And that's a little bit the philosophy of the initiative, really to try to enhance the cooperation, facilitate the synergies, and facilitate the complementarities of all the initiative, all relevant initiatives that exist in the panorama of the circular economy, especially those that are focused on the regional and local scale. Then one interesting part is like, and then I think is in the philosophy of the DG of the Commission where this initiative is coming from. Knowledge is important, research is important, innovation is important. So the CCRI wants also to create with all the services that are included in this initiative, knowledge, and that can be primary research, secondary research, but also using all the projects like those that are presenting today to this event, really try to create this knowledge and through also the umbrella of the CCRI, get this knowledge, analyze it, and try to spread it as much as possible. And that's the philosophy of the fourth point. Share replicable good practices coming from cities, coming from CCRI project, coming from other initiatives as much as possible. As Paolo already discussed, again, we have here a full menu, if you want, of services, starting from the demonstration project for innovative ideas, project development assistance, circular idea to be transformed into proper investment, non-financial services, but very important knowledge-wise, so advisory services provided by the EIB, the OECD, respectively on financial and knowledge issue, and the OECD is focusing mainly on governance. So and then here is the importance of the CCRI CSO, so the Coordination Support Office of the CCRI really has the role to coordinate, try to facilitate the coordination and complementarity among all these services. And then in the next slide, I try to explain the second key word here, which is support. So that's a little bit a focus on what the CCRI CSO is doing, its activities. Well, again, going back to the title, coordination. Here we want to really facilitate cooperation, synergy, complementarities between what? A pilot group of cities, region, territorial cluster that I explain in a while what they are, together with the fellows. But cooperation between the CCRI project, so a project that are under mainly Horizon 2020 and Horizon Europe funds, and they do have, they're really encouraged to cooperate with the initiatives, but also facilitate the cooperation with the other initiative, other organization, other institutions that are operating in the circular economy. And these institution, organization, entities in general will be identified and called as associated partners. So the idea is just really to having them as partner for the implementation of the transition towards the circular economy. Now, the second key word here, as we said, is support. And the support is really focusing on in-kind advisory service to a small group of, a pilot group of cities and regions, up to 10, for the implementation of the circular systemic solution. Therefore, the key, one of the key actor or the key client, if you want, of the circular the coordination support office are really like cities that are part of the pilot group that will receive in-kind support from the CSO. Then also is an office that, in line with the philosophy of the CCRI, is really implementing also in-house research on regulatory aspect, financial aspect, case studies, technical aspect, and in general relevant material, relevant knowledge to help policymaker, decision maker at the local and regional scale to implement their circular systemic solution. Last but not least, again, we said that we are completely aware that we are not the only initiative on circular economy, also the local and regional scale. So the idea here as a CSO, we are really trying to facilitate this dialogue with a wider number of stakeholders beyond, for example, the CCRI projects, the associated partner. We are really trying to get in touch with the other change information and use this knowledge really to, again, local and regional policy makers and decision makers. Now, that's a little bit a graphical scheme. It's quite simplified, I know, but really to explain a little bit where is the focus of the CCRI CSO services. Again, I am making a little bit simple, but just to understand a little bit where the focus is. Let's say a city that is engaged to implement circular economy policy in its territory. Well, to do something, it should, for example, start with a circular strategy, giving a vision on how a certain territory can increase its circularity. From this vision, then the city should consider an action plan, so how to transform the circular strategy into a valuable paper, from a valuable paper into reality. And the circular economy action plan can contain different action measures, etc., that we call circular systemic solution. And it's exactly here, from the transition to the circular economy action plan and the concrete action, the concrete circular systemic solution, that's the target of the CSO and of many of the services of the CCRI. Now, a little bit, let's say, an update where we are. So it's an initiative, and especially the CSO started its activities quite, I would say, recently, the end of the last year, beginning of the 2022. And let's say now you can see that we are working on the website. We are working internally, of course, to really structure all the offices and really start to implement all the services. But let's say one of the most important one is now in March, we launched the call for expression of interest to identify, to select those cities, region, territory cluster that will be pilot group or fellows. And here is the explanation and the difference between the pilot groups and the fellows. So cities, region, territorial cluster will be part of the pilot group, are expected to receive tailored support through group, individual activities, so soft support, increase, and that's the scope of the support, the tailored support that we want to provide, increase the technical and human capacity of the local administration and the local stakeholders, engage them not only with us, not only with the CSO office, but also with a relevant stakeholder. And among the stakeholders are other city, regions, territorial clusters, but also, of course, the CCRI projects. So that's a quite nice event to really to start a dialogue with the CCRI project, the 4 CCRI projects that are involved in this event, share knowledge and lessons learned with other stakeholders, and also receive access to relevant knowledge. As we said, the part of the CSO activities are really focusing on primary, secondary, and in-house research. And we want to use really the CCRI projects, the pilots, the fellows, really as a laboratory for research and innovation, and especially for innovation, for circular systemic solution at the local and regional scale. The difference with the fellows are, fellows will be, first of all, selected also through this selection, this call for expression of interest, that now we are analyzing. The difference is they won't receive this direct support that pilot group will receive. Anyway, the interesting point is they will be anyway part of the same learning space. And that's quite relevant also if a city or region can participate, get access to knowledge, can get in touch with relevant stakeholders, city, region, projects, industry, etc. And we want to, the creation of the fellows is really the rationale is just to try to enhance as much as possible the group of city that we are dealing with, therefore the flows of exchange of information and making everything really mutually useful, both for the pilot, the fellows, the CCRI projects, and the associated partner. So as a last slide, here you can find, of course, the website, the functional mailbox that we have, and very soon there will be also a CCRI newsletter that you can subscribe, I think, right now. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Accorigi, also for your very effective presentation straight to the point. I would suggest then to move to a couple of concrete examples of how regions and actually also industry is mobilizing circular cities and regional initiatives at local scale. So I'm pleased to leave the floor to Bart Volkers and Sander Bos that will present to us in a very dynamic way. So I leave you the floor.
Yes, thank you. Can we have to... Is that one working? Fabio, that one?
Can I put on the good presentation? So thank you very much, everybody, also for your attention at this time of the day. And well, we'd like to present you a small thing. We'd like to look at the time, so Sander will be a little bit short, also respecting your time, respecting also Michele's time. We like to, well, all together drive regions and cities towards the circular economy. But the main question is, what can I do? What can I do as a region, or what can I do as a city? And today we've seen a lot of also complex tools and ways to deal with data, etc. But there's also a challenge that how to make things simple. How can you as a region start tomorrow, or how can you as an ambassador within your region address your region to start tomorrow? And that's what we are going to talk about. My name is Bart Volkers from the EcoeFISHent Association. I also have my own company, and my co-presenter is Sander Bos of province of Friesland. Sander, can you introduce yourself shortly?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Bart. And also from my side, thank you for the attention still. Of course, we can smell the cocktails already, I think, but we're gonna take you for just a small presentation about the benchmarking tool. My name is Sander. I work for the province of Friesland. Sometimes, maybe for some of you, it can be quite complicated. Who is Circular Friesland? Who is the province? Well, that's exactly the goal of what we are trying to do. We share the same ambition in the region to work on a circular economy together with a lot of organizations. We're going to discuss a little bit about that later on. So just say that we are from Friesland, which is in the northern part of the Netherlands with approximately 650,000 inhabitants.
Yes, and for your convenience and all our convenience, we developed a very easy tool for regions. It's called a circular benchmark tool. It's not very quantitative, it's with questions. But first I'd like to give the floor to Sander, who initiated the circular benchmark tool within another project. Please, Sander, can you tell us a little bit how it came up and what the reason was to start initiating this tool?
Yeah, well, this goes quite good with the microphone back and forth. Yeah, we started already a couple of years ago with working on a circular economy, very regional. But in recent years, we wanted to do more knowledge exchange also with our fellows, with our partners, and with our friends, of course, in the rest of Europe. And one of the opportunities in which we did this was in the Replace project, and some of the project partners are also here in the room. And together we took the initiative to actually say, okay, where are we compared to each other? Where does the one region work on? Where does the other region work on? So there it started from this design. But we also said we don't want to make it kind of a competition. We don't want to say who is best in circular economy or who is a bit less good, of course. Circular economy is not a competition. Actually, one of, well, the preconditions of working on a circular economy is working together. So it shouldn't be a competition, but it should be something to exchange knowledge with each other. And as we were sitting together with all of these regions, it should be something which could be done on the regional level, and also that we could benchmark indicators which we actually can influence by ourselves. And the last one, well, Bart mentioned the word already a lot of times. It should be easy to use. You should use the benchmark by yourself. You don't have to hire maybe expensive third parties. You should just go sit at your desk and work together with your fellows.
And of course, I can imagine after Sander saying this that you are very curious how the province of Friesland and the Circle Friesland Association is actually doing. So during the Replace project, we filled in the tool. Also 5 other regions used the tool. And for Friesland, this spider chart came out. It's just a spider chart with some indicators I'm going to tell you a little bit later about. But this is the result of Friesland. And Sander, when you did this exercise, so here's your quote, but can you tell us a little bit about this and give us some 2 best practices?
Yeah. Maybe we should have taken 2 microphones, but this is also working with handing it over. Yeah, these are actually my quotes, and actually I want to highlight 2 of, well, we start with the outcomes already, which is rather good, of course. Maybe, as said, it's quite an easy to use tool, which you can use together with your stakeholders in the region. And for us, this gave an insight to have this kind of agenda, so to say, to work on the regional circular economy action plan. It's quite a good way to use it to get together and, well, ask each other some questions on where are we at the moment and what can we improve. And the other one is that, of course, if you benchmark compared to other regions, you can use the tool also to look for best practices from other regions. So this is a very good insight that we also had to learn from others. And maybe, well, talking about best practices, Bart is going to tell Bart is going to tell something about the indicators later on, but 2 of them are here on this slide. One is about circular procurement. Actually, in Friesland, we are working on circular procurement, well, quite a lot. Of course, well, I think most of us acknowledge this as well. Procurement is one of the direct policy instruments which you have as a region or a municipality or a city to invest directly in the circular economy. This was also acknowledged by the public sector parties in our region. So all of these parties came together and looked for ways to cooperate in this field. Actually, this is one of the best practices we put into the benchmark, and we now try to, well, spread also to other regions to maybe make use of this way of working together. Well, actually the other one is about governance. Thank you for pointing it out, Bart. This is something which we are working on in a region as well. Well, as said before, we try to not differentiate anymore between Circular Friesland and the province. This is because, well, Circular Friesland is actually our way of executing our ambitions on the circular economy. It started low-key with some businesses coming together, but it's now a form of public-private partnership.
This is working. 5 minutes left.
So, yeah, thank you. So this was the other best practice on good governance, and we already showed you 2 important indicators for a region. That's circular procurement, and also how are you going to govern it in your region. This was not just a grasp. We did a very serious study on all kind of best practices and theoretical backgrounds about all indicators. So there were approximately 60 best practices we looked about globally, not only Europe, but only Australia, even China, Canada, etc. We did a large desktop review with about 25 research papers, and then we came up, based on all kind of models, with about 197 different indicators. But luckily, they were linked very much together, and we reduced these almost 200 to 6 main indicators that you all can use. And we still keep on developing and improving the model because we're advancing, everybody's advancing in circular economy. So we keep an eye on this and see also new best practices coming up. The 6 indicators, those are here. We already talked about circular procurement. It's a way also for regions to stimulate the whole value chain. And also the other speakers were talking about infrastructure, very important. It's a way to activate all kinds of stakeholders in your region. The second is the value chain activation. It's not only about your procurement, but also how you deal with your stakeholders. The third is giving access to funding. So it's not only about making funds, create funds yourself, but also guiding your businesses, knowledge institutes towards the funding that is available and will become available, as we just saw. The good governance, how are you going to organize it? And circular EcoeFISHent is one example, and every region could have its own best practice here. The circular society, we talked about citizens, but we also have workers, we have tourists, people working at your administration who needs to get the skills. So that is a very important indicator. And finally, it's about your policy and an integrated policy. So it's not only about your circular economy policy, but you need to look at how are you going to connect it with your also environmental policy, how you're going to connect it with infrastructure policy, etc., etc. And these 6 indicators, we put different maturity levels. 5 maturity levels where you can score. And your score is based on simple yes, no answers on very specific questions. And the first level is mapping, just knowing what you're doing in your region. The second level is making a plan. The third level is doing something. The fourth is checking and acting, and here you see the denim cycle of plan, do, check, act. And the fifth is leading by example, giving the best example for others to learn and to start improving. And each level has certain specific questions that you can answer with yes and no. That's the way we make it simple. So this is targeting regions that are starting to implement circular economy, but also regions that made some first steps and want to know, okay, where am I at this point and what do I need to do? And within Replace projects, already some regions were advanced and already tested it and say, hey, now we know new things we can do. We want to monitor also the progress for you to benchmark, but also to find the best practices in Europe. And it's a self-assessment tool. So you can log in, make your account, and try and fill out the questions, say yes and no, etc. And you can do it yourself, maybe ask from colleagues, maybe ask from other organizations in your region. And the yes, no questions we just addressed. I think it's the most simple way we can do it and make for you the first steps. This is just a look and feel about how the online application that will be there in June is available. So you can make your own account. It's a free login and you can answer the questions. And you will get a result, just a spider like the Province of Friesland has got. And then, based on all the regions putting in their results, there are 6 regions in right now, we can start comparing on the different kind of indicators and we can start exchanging the knowledge. Regions of Uch already did this already in the Replace project. It's just one of the regions that applied it, but there are more regions who did this and tried it already. And our ambition is to have at least 50 regions to have applied it, because then we get a serious benchmarking. Then you can start learning from each other. So it started in Replace. We use some ERDF funding to take a next step to make an online tool. So it's not an Excel anymore. It's an online tool accessible for all this June. And we further upgraded during the Friendship project. We also need collaboration because it's a tool that's available. It's a private company running it, but we need a platform to reach out to the regions. But we also like to use the data and connect the data to other tools. And those are the things, well, 2 calls for collaboration also in this room, also towards the other speakers. Very shortly, If you're interested, you can go to the LinkedIn page and just sign up. You get informed, and also when in June the tool is available for you to test and to apply it. And then we can start progressing. So please look at this LinkedIn page, sign up, and you will get information on the way. And Sandra and I will be here also today, so that you can come to us. Yeah? Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Bart and Sander. I think that there will be plenty of question and curiosity, I guess, during the cocktail after the last speaker, because we are a bit running out of time. So last but not least, I would like to present Michele Andolfo, which is a guy that called me in November 2020 and asked me whether I wanted to get on board the preparation of a proposal for the Green Deal Call 3.2. It was November, the deadline January, and I said, but you are partnering with Novamont. STAM is a small player, how we can make it? We do not have any region, we do not have any city. And that is the journey that brought, I think, Friendship to be one of the 4 successful projects out of 96, if I'm not wrong, in the competition. And I would like to present Michele, because Michele was the former coordinator of Friendship. Now he's working in a company called Artigo, which is a Ligurian-based company. So after the 4th project, actually 3 were successful, 1 not. I would like also to introduce to the local colleagues, Michele, maybe there will be new ventures in the future about our region as well. So Michele, the floor is yours. I leave you to conclude our journey of the afternoon.
Some rest, so I will go quick. As the Mondo trucks, that they are the trucks, the athletic trucks of the last 12 Olympic Games, where all the world records were realized, for example, last year in Japan. Mondo is a group producing different type of products, floorings mainly. So Artigo is the company producing the commercial flooring for civil application. Was founded in 1962, so a long time ago, in the Pirelli company, and then in 1992 was acquired by Mondo Group and opened in 1997 the new factory in Cairo Montenotte in the Savona province. Here I put like a slide of what we are using to introduce then the transformation and local scale for circular economy. What does it mean? It means that we are using mineral fillers, pigments, vulcanizing agents, natural and synthetic rubber. And for some special products we are using, for example, coconut fiber. Of course, the industries in the latest period try to find as much as possible bio-based resources, start to realize the LCA life cycle assessment study to do a picture of how, which is the impact of a company on the CO2 production. So started this kind of activities. So studying which kind of resources we are using, because we are the dirty guys polluting the world and so on. So which process we are using, how we manufacture our products, how we distribute them, and especially in the latest period, the end of life. This is a brief circle of how industry were producing products, so using raw materials, processing them, packaging and distributing, and then, of course, in the life of the products in the consumer world, and then at the end of the life, landfilled or incinerated. Now the attention, and it's really huge attention, of how the process of producing is realized. So a lot of attention is put, a lot of focus, especially in the last part now, to avoid the disposal, landfilling, and incinerating. But first, unfortunately, in this year, we're talking a lot about energy, because after the invasion of Ukraine, all of us start focusing on energy, especially for the cost that were growing up so much. I put this picture because it's always explaining a lot of the false impression that industries are the one putting CO2 in the atmosphere. Yeah, we're putting CO2 in the atmosphere, but actually 1/3 of the total emissions. There is 5% of direct CO2 emission in the atmosphere, and the other part from the use of energy in the... So, after starting, for example, Artigo put on the floors 1 megawatt of production of solar energy to cover as much as possible the internal production. The use of bio-based resources, the use of less impacting processes is really important. But now also the focus is how to put together different companies, different industrial partners to start using the byproducts that we are generating to avoid as much as possible the waste. This is a classical example of how two different manufacturers can put together resources and use without wasting them. Unfortunately, they stole me the slide 2 presentations ago, so I will be, quick and brief on that. But the most important stuff that industry can do right now, especially the Italian industries that usually are not so big, so are small or medium enterprise, is to be really eradicated on the geographical area. So try to put as much as possible effort to produce energy, to use energy, to collect the waste from around the industry and put inside the industrial circle. So that's what we are doing. So here there are 3 different things: production of energy, chestnuts, and rubber production in the same area. That is why I'm presenting this. This is the main value chain that you can find in this area of Liguria region that is called Val Bormida in the Savona province, that also is going through Piemonte region. So in the next period, we were trying to set up with energy, with reuse of material, with production of energy, to create a value chain in the Val Bormida. That's it. I will be, as I told you, very quick.
Thanks a lot, Michele. You were promising to be on time, and we finally closed the meeting on time. No, I think that we should allow at least for a question from the remote floor, because we can benefit from the networking to go into questions. If there is any from those which are connected online. Otherwise, I would suggest that we close the day here. And I thank very much all the speakers, those which were with us the whole day. And thanks a lot to the participants for being patient to reach the end. And we are now ready for the cocktail. So I suggest everybody to go to the next room. Thanks a lot.